Hello, job seekers. Melanie here with CGL Recruiting. Thanks for joining again. Today, I am excited once again to welcome Doug Burns to our video. Doug, as you may have remembered from one of our previous videos, is a professional photographer and a professional videographer, has been doing it for so many years, and he's going to help us today by helping you look your best anytime you're doing a Zoom or other online interview. It also is going to be great tips if you're doing any kind of meetings or anything else like that of how you can look your best other than having Doug be in the room with his professional video equipment doing it. Doug, can you tell everybody that didn't see you on the last video a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Sure. So I've had a camera in my hands for over 30 years, and I've been paid to have one in my hands for over 25. So I've been doing this for a while. My very first job was actually in shooting news with a local news affiliate in West Texas, I've videos as part of what I do. It's work with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I've worked with major broadcast outlets as a director of photography. I've shot a couple of low-budget feature films. I've none of the thing that anybody's ever heard of, but my fair share of commercials and corporate video and corporate messaging pieces. Very familiar with video, especially in a professional corporate environment.
Thank you again for taking time, because people are struggling, all of this social distancing and having to do everything online. And most of us trying to do it with, the cameras that we have that are either integrated into our laptops or ones that we've purchased on Amazon. And it is hard to look your best, and we've lost that ability to gain an interaction with somebody when they're doing interviews that we're trying to now replicate through the camera. So can you help us, Doug? Give us some tips and tricks. Let's, maybe start with just the lighting. What is the best thing that you recommend for those that are having to do an interview across the computer?
Sure. And one thing to keep in mind is that you're not doing network television. When I roll in to shoot a video, whether it be corporate messaging or broadcast or what have you, I'm bringing in literally carts of equipment, multiple carts of equipment to light and make the scene and the stage look as best as possible, so that whoever I'm shooting can present their best possible image. And even in my own office here, I've got professional lights set up around, so that I can present the best possible image when I'm doing a Zoom call.
Look at your picture and look at my picture, and there's a huge difference. And for those of you that weren't in the room with me, Doug was even helping me to look a little better on screen before we started this. But I appreciate it, Doug.
Well, that's not a problem. But yeah, it's one thing you need to remember is you're not going to be doing that. You're not going to look like a network broadcast television production. No one's expecting you to. So
Right.
Relax. Okay, that's key number one. As regarding lighting, there's some things that you can do that are very simple that is available to everybody. The most popular one right now is to use window light. So if you've got if you're at home and you got your laptop up and you got that little integrated webcam there at the top of your laptop, if you're sitting in your kitchen and hopefully you've got a big beautiful kitchen window, just sit so that you're facing the window. Now, you don't want any direct sunlight beaming through that window, but there's having that open light that's coming through there. It's a beautiful light. It'll light your face beautifully. It'll be bright. Cameras need light. They don't work well when they don't have a lot of light to work with. You don't want to be in a dark room. So anything you can do, natural light coming in through the window, facing that light will open you up. Don't put that window behind you. That's the worst thing you can do. I guarantee you they don't want to see the kitchen behind you. And there's things we'll talk about to improve that. But having the window light behind you will put you in shade and put you in silhouette. And we want to see you. We want to hear from you. Another tip is, if you don't have, for whatever reason, say you're working in a home office that doesn't have a big window light, or you're working on a desktop situation, which you don't have you can't move easily to the kitchen window or wherever, is to bring light in. And it's something as simple as a lamp with a large lampshade sitting right next to your computer. If you really inexpensive solution, it would be go get a large, and I mean a large Chinese lantern, plain, nothing with no color on it. Just they make them at the various import stores. You can get them and whatnot for literally just a couple of bucks. That and a nice wattage LED light bulb in that light will produce a nice soft light that's very flattering to the face. And it's something we've used professionally. We've actually used Chinese lanterns professionally for years in film and television production. One thing to remember when we talk about lighting, the larger the light source as compared to your subject, the softer the light source. And as humans, the face generally looks best with soft light raking across it. So if you've got a nice large Chinese lantern that's neutral in color, a white lantern, a beige lantern would work okay as well. With a good wattage, high wattage LED light bulb in there, will produce a beautiful light. And just make sure that it's in front of you, just off or right next to the camera, and you'll be fine.
So something else that you gave me a tip as before we started is if you're using your laptop, I have two giant monitors to the side of me that have giant blue screens that were shining on me and were casting a bad lighting. And so you helped improve the overall color by just telling me, Melanie, turn off your monitors, right? Don't be focused on those. So I appreciate little tips like that are things that we don't think about.
Yeah, so most people don't realize light comes in a variety of colors, and daylight is a blue light as compared to tungsten light, which is the light that you're going to see in incandescent light. Incandescent light is very warm in comparison. Our computer monitors, our cell phones, they keep talking about that blue light problem with going to sleep. It's literally it's a daylight balanced screen, a daylight balanced light coming off your monitor.
Right.
That's going to give you a blue cast. And there's a couple things you can do to easily correct that. One is to change all of the light bulbs in your room to daylight balance. Then everything's the same color. You don't have to worry about getting an additional blue cast come across. If you're in front of a window, that's blue light coming in, you're not going to have to worry about it. But if you're lighting your desk with an incandescent lamp, then you want to turn off anything that's got a blue cast, like a monitor or a TV or whatnot, that's coming across you.
So can we talk about the backgrounds that, when you're on these Zoom calls, and especially when we're talking about job seekers and interviews, what is your recommendations for the behind?
Keep it simple, if at all possible. No, don't put anything distracting. Now, you and I are both in our offices, and while we've got stuff in the background, it's not moving, it's not distracting, it looks professional. I can see you've got a nice lovely couch and some sticks in the background as a little art piece. I just got my bookshelf behind me. Very simple, nothing wrong with any of that. And if you can pull that off, great. If you are at home and you don't have a home office, it's not hard to pull off, but it's just going to take some forethought on your part. A plain white wall or a plain white wall with just some simple basic artwork is fine. What we don't want to see behind you is we don't want to see your bedroom. We don't want to see your kitchen. Don't want to see your living room with the kids running through and chasing the dog. And keep the distractions down. There's been some really funny videos out there of people on Zoom calls in their bedroom, and all of a sudden the bathroom door opens up and here comes hubby, who's just coming out of the shower wearing what he was wearing in the shower. So we want to eliminate that. Okay. Mind your background, keep it non-distracting, make sure that nobody can walk behind you. If you are in your bedroom, shut the doors, lock the doors if you have to. Anything to keep the distractions down to nil. I mean, not just the next. I mean, we don't want any distractions in the background whatsoever.
And you and I have talked previously that I am not a fan of the Zoom backgrounds where you can put a background in. They tend to move and it's distracting. People put their arm up and it will automatically make this whole space here show through what's behind you, which you may not have wanted to show. So if you're doing an interview, I do not recommend you do those backgrounds at all. They just don't work well.
The virtual backgrounds are meant to help eliminate distractions in your personal environment. The problem is they don't, the technology is such that they don't work as well as what you're going to see on the movies. The movies spend a lot of time with green screens and blue screens. They spend a lot of time lighting those screens so that the light is just so on the screens, it's just so on the actors. They spend a lot of time in post-production to make sure that those lines are clean as possible. You're not going to pull that off. You'll even see this occasionally with the weatherman. When on your local nightly news, you'll occasionally see, and they're in a professional environment with a very well lit studio, and you'll see fringing on their fingertips, or the girls with the blonde hair, you'll see fringing coming through the blonde hair on that green screen. So yeah, just best to avoid them altogether. Keep it one more thing to distract the person you're talking to, and that's not what you want to do.
Can we talk a little bit where you put your camera and positioning?
So a lot of people have a camera built into their laptop, and which is great because now you don't have to go buy an additional camera. But then they put their laptops down on the ground on the desk, and you're looking at up people's nose the whole time. Don't do that. It's especially with a laptop. Raise it up. You want to get that camera at least eye level, maybe just slightly above eye level is fine as well. So if you, I'm about to say get some phone books. I don't think anybody's had a phone book in 15 years, but if you've got some old textbooks, or whatever, old DVDs, old VHS, whatever you've got that can stick your laptop on top of a couple of pillows if you have to, raise that camera up so that it's eye level, and that you're looking right at it. If you are on a desktop situation, put your camera monitor, and you're bringing in a camera, put the camera on top of your monitor, and whatever you can do to raise your monitor up so that it's about eye level with you.
When we started all this video series, and I think you even commented on one, there was one really early on where the camera was so high and I looked like a little kid at the bank trying to look over, and it's distracting. It makes a difference of how you are positioned within the screen. So I think that's a great tip about putting on books if you need to. What about audio? What is, your feelings about audio in general and how to get your best on that?
Well, if you can avoid using the microphone built into your web camera, you're going to be better off. That microphone is a good 2-3 feet away from you. Like if I can't even reach mine from where I'm sitting. Pardon me. So the audio quality is going to sound hollow. It's going to sound empty, and you're not going to sound your best. And especially if you're doing an interview, you want to sound and look your best at all times, right? Putting that best foot forward. So using an external mic will always be an improvement over the built-in microphone on the web camera. And that's true even if you're out shooting home movies. An external mic close to the source, and that's the key, is the microphone has to be close to the source of sound to sound its best. Now I've got a nice big $200 microphone here that I utilize. It's something I happen to have in my closet, and I just, I'm gonna pull it out. It sounds, I'm trying to produce as professional quality sound as possible, but not everybody's going to have that. But I guarantee you, just about everybody has a pair of these, earbuds or the AirPods, the wireless ones. There is nothing wrong these days with having these things in your ear. This is perfectly acceptable to have, especially on Zoom calls. Why did I stick the microphone in on? Oh well, the but what you're doing is that little microphone there on your earbuds then is coming right next to where you're talking, and you're going to sound so much better. And these things are inexpensive, a couple bucks at the local corner store. I guarantee you'll find them. Try not to use lime green. Basic black, white, that's fine. I would avoid the lime greens. These just happen to be what was in my bag.
Doug, is there anything else that you would definitely recommend for people as they're trying to do all of these interviews to put their best foot forward across Zoom?
Remember to look into the camera, and that's going to be very hard for people. It takes professionals a really long time to learn how to look into that lens. It's a big piece of glass, especially when you're staring at it, and it's hard to look at. So I would recommend people don't use full screen on your video chats. Exit out of full screen, shrink your screen up, and stick the person that you're talking to right underneath the camera. So that you get your eyes, so that you're looking now at the person, and your eyes are going to be just below camera level. So like if I'm looking at my camera, I'm looking right here, and if I'm looking at Melanie, I'm looking right here. And there's not a big difference between the two. And for most people, it's going to be very natural. We want to talk to one another. We want to talk to each other. So if as much as you can, the person you're talking to, bring them as close to the camera as possible. That'll help.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Doug, for being so giving of your time. I know that the job seekers all appreciate everybody that's been so willing to record videos to help everybody get back to work faster. If you have any comments or you'd like any other questions answered, please feel free, job seekers, to put them in the comments below. We do look and answer each and every one. And again, if you feel like this data was helpful, give us that thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe so you're notified when future videos come out. Doug, thank you again for spending your time. I really greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, job seekers, thanks again for joining us, and I'll see you next time.